Girlfriend, 25 female, asked me, 29 male, if I ever had a wank while she was present. How can I reassure her? Edit, for clarity given some comments, her issue isn't with masturbation or porn as she does both too, it's mostly the fact that we was present in the flat when I did it. Edit, writing this with her by my side as she suggested we get external opinions. We were lying in bed discussing various topics as we always do when she asked me that. We have a great communication, honest with each other, both emotionally mature, and our intimate life is amazing. We also always been super open about sexuality, we even were non-exclusive at the beginning of our relationship. I replied that yes, it happened to me once or twice, I know it happened at least once, genuinely can't tell if there was another time as it's absolutely not a memorable moment. I am in the bathroom, feel horny and tense, why not open the phone, watch 3 million of porn? Boom, release, job done, feeling nice. She had a really negative reaction to that information, mentioning the following points. I can't control my impulses, so I will cheat on her eventually. I did that because I needed something she couldn't provide, so I may cheat if she doesn't give me what I want. She also asked how I would react if I found out she did the same thing. I honestly replied that I'd have a laugh, talk jokingly about it, and be curious about her particular mood that day. I certainly wouldn't question our future. She has history of toxic relationships and being cheated on, so she agrees her take may be influenced by that, but still thinks that it's weird that I did that. How can I reassure her? It's impossible to reassure somebody whose fears exist only in their imagination. She's afraid that you're going to cheat on her because of masturbating? There is no logic there. I'm not trying to be rude, just factual. Somebody could take those same facts and say, thank God I have a boyfriend that satisfies his urges through masturbation rather than going off and cheating on me. These are just conclusions that are minds. Tell us to either make us feel better or scare us. They're nothing but thoughts. So you can't reassure someone regarding their irrational fears other than kindly and gently, pointing out the fact that their fears aren't based on even a shred of real evidence. She's not thinking reasonably about this. I can see that it hurts her feelings, but it's really nothing to do with her, is it? Masturbation isn't the same thing as sex. It's private time with your own body, and she really doesn't get a say in what you do to your own body. Feeling like you wanted some stress release isn't a denial of her, nor is it taking anything away from your relationship with her. And she's way out of line saying it means you'll cheat on her. Why are you not offended by her lack of trust here? She is not emotionally mature. I, 28F, also have my own wank without my boyfriend, 29M, from time to time while he is at home. Sometimes it's just easier to get the edge off without going all in. Trying an analogy. One of us is getting a bit hungry, so that person takes a little snack out of the cabinet instead of wanting us to cook a whole dinner together. Agree with all of the above. There's no way that you can ever reassure her because it's her problem. She might need to look at her insecurities regarding masturbation. Also, I'm not sure, but you writing this here while she's there beside you kind of sounds like a hostage situation, lol. I could be wrong, but is she being controlling? Insecurities often come hand in hand with that. Why wouldn't you have a wank? She is not a pocket pussy, ready to give you instant sexual gratification at the drop of a hat. I would be offended if my woman suggested that. I respect my partner way too much to treat them as a sexual toy. Honestly, she sounds unhinged. My 23M, GF's 23F friends say she's out of my league. What would you do? My girlfriend is unbelievably attractive and I'm a very lucky guy, no doubt. I know I'm not unattractive and I don't have much trouble in that regard usually. She definitely is much more attractive than me though, and just recently her sister's boyfriend told her that I'm out of her league. I don't really care what he thinks because he's extremely vain and says the only reason he has friends is because they make him seem more attractive. I have no idea what he means, but let's just say his opinion doesn't matter too much to me. Anyways, my girlfriend informed me, and I just start remembering how her friends used to say the same thing. She was very nice about it and tried not to hurt my feelings. She ended up explaining it in a way that confirms she knows that's kinda true. I know I just said I don't care, but it's getting to me somehow and I don't know how to make it not affect me. I just hope I'm not horrible looking and I hope I'm decent enough for her. I wouldn't let her know I think this obviously. I just pretend nothing affects me. This is true for a lot of things in my life. How do I live with it all inside? Too long did not read. My GF's friends think I'm out of her league and my girlfriend thinks it too, but doesn't care and still loves me, and I am secretly insecure about it. Sounds like you guys are surrounded by terrible people. Why is your girlfriend telling you what her sister's boyfriend said about your looks? Passing along an irrelevant person's meaningless unkind opinion is kind of pot-stirring. Especially if that same unkind sentiment has come up in the past and bothered you. There's the concept of being honest, and yes, it's important to be honest about your own feelings and opinions, But does passing along unkind gossip that you heard from someone qualify as the type of info you'd want to disclose to your partner on account of honesty? Why did your girlfriend inform you that someone else thinks she's out of your league? Then proceed to explain it in a way that confirms she thinks so too? She sounds shallow and maybe a bit conceited. What I think is that you guys are getting a bit old for leagues. Leave that stuff in high school. She was very nice about it and tried not to hurt my feelings. Why would she even need to tell you this? It sounds like it's a tactic to make sure you feel beneath her and that you couldn't do better than her. Likely so you feel you need to chase and can't leave her. As for her friends, you need to remember, her friends are her friends and have biased opinions. It's so disrespectful and ignorant for people to make those comments. It happens at any age, and the fact is that if someone's looks is their opinion of it, then they should keep their opinions to themselves. Unfortunately, in today's world, people are judgmental without knowing anything, thus ignorant. I hope to trust in yourself enough to overlook their ignorance. Good luck. Your girlfriend sounds like an and so do her friends. Do with that what you will. I'd leave. How can I regain my 25M, fiancé, 25F, trust? Hi, English is not my main language but I will try and make things short. I, 25M, have a relationship with my fiancé, 25F, for almost 9 years. In 2024 I had to travel to Spain for work for 5 months and I did not have money nor contacts to support the two of us there, so I went alone and left my girlfriend in our country. We are Latinos. While in Spain, I tried going to a board game club and then I made some very good friends, but I connected more with one of them than the rest. Let's call her B. So, the first time we meet we, and other 7 friends from the club, went and have a few drinks outside the club. It is a pretty common thing to do in Spain. But after that event, we discovered that we had friends in common and started seeing each other more frequently, as a group. I usually was calling my fiancé every night, at least for 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes for hours. We even started watching got together while having calls to comment on what was going on. But since knowing this group of friends, that time I was spending with my friends have slowly take time reserved for my fiancé. It is also worth noting that, while going outside with my usual friend group, B and 4 more people from the club, to have dinner or drink, we liked to take photos of our going outs, and part of those photos were with her alone. So, after a month or so we, B and I, grew accustomed to each other and then B started doing things with me like giving me a ride to the board game club and back, 15 minutes from my apartment, always considering me for dinner per bar after the club or planning activities together, and the rest of my friends. Since I know her, I didn't think ill of her like having second intentions, but somehow I felt that she was having considerations that she didn't have with the rest of my friends. I told her about my fiancé of almost 9 years, but didn't tell her that it was my fiancé. It sounds stupid, but it was a private info I didn't want to share, even just some people in my family knows. So I thought about those considerations like a cultural difference and go with it. Part of the activities I did with my group of friends were activities, like going to a pub or disco to dance a little, going to a comedy show, to a theater, etc. My fiancé wanted to try but didn't have the opportunity to do it with her, due to time or any circumstance. But because I had time, I was alone and friends in this new country, I did these things with them first. My fiancé was kind of sad of seeing me do these new things, did not told me specifically, but I knew it. Then, on an opportunity, B started inviting us to her house and we went there, but I didn't tell my fiancé because I thought I would make her even sadder, so I told her I was going to the club. I know, that was a bad thing to do, so we went to her house, play board games, go to her pool and watched a movie, then returned the next day. Her house is outside the town center, like 40 minutes by car. Then, because I was talking to B about going to Aranjuez and another little town I was interested in, she told me that she could take me there on Sunday, but because we had a scheduled going out with the group on Saturday, she proposed me to go to her house, rest and then go to Aranjuez. Her house is like half the travel to Aranjuez. I didn't want to let the group know that I was spending the night at B's house, so they could misunderstand what was going on, and I told B about it. When we were planning this via chat, she was talking to me about lingerie and if I liked it. She is part of a drama club and was having a monologue about some BDSM stuff. I told her, I'm not fond of it, but maybe you will make me like it. Again, another bad thing to do. After the Saturday appointment, I went with B to her house and we spent the night having a drink while playing board games and then we sleep, in separate rooms of course, nothing physical happened. The day after we went to Aranjuez and the other town as planned. We finished by 6 p.m. I felt bad about lying to my fiancé, so I told her about next meetings we had as a group at B's house, but I didn't tell her about the first times. Eventually, the days went on and by a month ago I returned to my country, Mononly, because I wanted to see her. Everything was going wonderful. I went finally living with my fiancé as we planned before the travel and we had plans to get married and return to Spain. I had to work from 2 a.m. to 11 a.m., but it was worth it to be with her. A week ago, I went to sleep a little early because of my work. But my fiancé woke me up and started asking me about B and how many times I went to her house. I saw her with my phone and I felt terrible, because she saw all those messages about me not wanting my friends to know that I was going to B house, about the lingerie talk and about the night I rested there before going to Aranjuez. She confronted me and we discussed and cried a lot. I told her it was a misunderstanding, but she started thinking wrong things and, being far, I have hid her that information and had not trusted in her. After talking things, she told me that she considers this an infidelity and, after pondering, I recognized that I have disrespected her. She said that she didn't want to stay in the house with me, so I left and I am currently with my family. I want to recognize my responsibility in this situation and amend things. I really love my fiancé and she is the one I want to marry and spend my life with. She also loves me, even after this situation, but she is obviously hurt. I want to make a compromise to her that it won't happen ever again, so we have scheduled a couples therapy session and are currently waiting for it. I want to know by you guys, what are your thoughts about this situation? I really don't want to lose this relationship. Thank you for reading this long post and sorry for the bad English. P.D. I forgot to mention that B has a physical impairment in both feet and hands, so she has to use a wheelchair permanently. She needs help to do things. Edit. I arrived my country 1 month ago and, since that day, I didn't have any contact with B as in Spain. Just the occasional message every week or so. Should I cut all contact? I really don't want my fiancé to distrust me. Wow, that's a very detailed description and timeline of your emotional affair. Why did it not occur to you while it happened that this would hurt you so? You can scream to the heavens all you want that you love your fiancé, but your actions screamed louder. I'm cheering her on to dump you. That's a lot of words for you had an emotional affair. You got caught before it turned physical, doesn't mean it wasn't cheating. But you know that, that's why you hid it from her. 9-year engagement and you're talking about lingerie choices with a friend, and omitted facts that any significant other would be concerned about. No wonder she is insecure about her engagement with you. This relationship is toast. Maybe don't do stupid shit like that if you intend to marry? That's a lot of paragraphs for, I emotionally cheated on my future wife and now she doesn't trust me anymore. Father-in-law inviting people to my FH&I's wedding, how can we address it? 24 female, 24 male. To give some context, my fiancé and I have been together for about 10 years now. We got engaged a little over a year ago and finally booked the venue this past week. We decided to have a smaller, intimate wedding, under 60 ppl, over eloping since having family there is important to my FH. My father offered to pay for 80% of the costs while my father-in-law would cover the rehearsal dinner and chip in on our honeymoon. We were extremely excited to finally having a set date, but within 24 hours of letting my father-in-law know, my mother-in-law texted numerous people inviting them to the wedding without informing us at all. Most were her high school friends or distant cousins who I've never met. My FH was under the impression that my mother-in-law was just giving him their addresses in case we wanted to invite them, not that she already invited them herself. Keep in mind my FH and I pretty much already had the guest list set in stone and were about to order the save the dates. Now this has started a ton of drama since my mother-in-law has invited people who I have no intention of sending an invite. She has already started with the text saying she's not coming to the wedding and has done so much for my FH and I that we owe it to her to invite her family. My father-in-law seems to be taking the same stance and is saying they deserve to have input on our guest list. My FH hates these arguments and it makes him extremely stressed out. His parents have said some pretty mean things to him so far. I have no idea how to move forward in this situation and it feels like it just ruined the excitement of the wedding. His parents have offered to pay to cover the costs of inviting more people, but it isn't about money. We just don't want a large wedding full of people we don't know at all or barely know. If their financial assistance is conditional on them being allowed to dictate your guest list, you should decline their assistance and have whatever wedding you can afford. Your husband needs to take point here and speak on behalf of you if you're both on the same page. It's his parents and a boundary, expectations need to be communicated. And hey, if they don't come, sucks, but they are deciding to throw child tantrums to see if it will get you both to cave in. Not helpful, adult behavior here. This is a good chance for the parents to see their son as an adult by standing by the decisions he and his future wife make. Doesn't mean you guys don't love them, but this sets a good precedent going forward on boundaries. Talk to your future husband and figure out what the stance going forward will be. Be prepared they may pull the money back too, but at the end of the day it's what you and your partner want. They are used to being bullies and getting their way. That's BS. I would start using the same response every single time. I'm sorry you feel that way. We'll see you some other time then. Normally, I advocate for each dealing with their own family, But it might be better for you to take the lead here and shut them down firmly. In your shoes I would say something along the lines of, my father, who is paying for the wedding, is getting 10 invites, FH and I 40, and you are getting 10. Anyone above and beyond you pay the difference. The venue can only hold 100. Basically telling them, your parents, his parents and you as a couple only have X number of invites because the size and cost of the venue. If you can't agree to this, my FH and I are more than happy to have you join us for just a courthouse ceremony. Give them their money back, cancel the venue and either elope or book something else and only send them the details closer to the wedding date. If you want them to be there, contributing to a wedding does not mean that you are allowed any say on any of it. What the fuck are all these acronyms?